Well, this will be fascinating. Do we have do we have among us emotional intelligence to actually embark on this conversation?
We're all learning. We are all people who are learning.
Every day, every moment. So today on Instigating Women and Friends, Kate's going to take us through her newest level of expertise around emotional intelligence and let us all, shed a little light on what does it mean? What do we really know about it? Liz and I both took an assessment. So Kate holds all the power today. A little scary.
I hold it all the time, Gwen. You just don't
Oh,
know it
that's
as
true. Thank you for the
much.
reminder.
So let's talk about the EQI 2.0. It's the only reliable and valid emotional intelligence assessment on the market today, which is why I got certified in it, because I was certified in something that wasn't reliable and valid, but had a good class associated with it, and a really lovely way of teaching people about emotional intelligence. But this assessment really gives you insight into what where you're lacking, self-reported, and where you have opportunity to grow as a result, and what your strengths are, and what maybe you should double down on. So my first question to both of you, when I'd like you to start first, is how was it actually taking the assessment?
The assessment itself was easy. I didn't know what to expect. I was a little bit afraid it would be more like me completing questionnaires or diving into things. It wasn't that at all. It was more a rank order. Um, and you mentioned self-assessment. So it is self-assessment. So reliable and valid as it is, it's only reliable and valid based upon what we contribute to the tool. It did a really good job of it. And the report that I received back, I think was spot on, and it was really helpful. And it gave really good tips about how I might be perceived, but also how to even be more emotionally intelligent in the world. I just do want to offer that of any assessment, any assessment, I get a little triggered by 5-point scales. And I'll just say at this point, the reason I get triggered by that is because not that I'm emotionally intelligent, but I have experienced so many assessments in my career and lifetime and received so much feedback that at some point along the way, I learned 5-point scales aren't nearly as good in really assessing how people feel and perceive as a 10-point scale or even an 11-point scale, 0 to 10. And so I take these assessments maybe a little bit differently than others might, because I really spend a lot of time at the beginning trying to figure out what that scale means and what they're really asking. And many others may not. So I'll stop there for now.
What about you, Liz?
I definitely found it humbling, um, because of between my EQ and my IQ. I definitely expect my EQ to be higher than my IQ. And um, I mean, the thing about the report findings is so elaborate. It's really deep dive into so many different areas. I just thought I was going to do better than I did. Um, and there's even a question at the end that says, "How honest were you?" And I was pretty honest, I think, but there were times where I was trying to figure out, uh what's the quality or the value that they're getting at here, and do I think I have that before I answer? So it was super worthwhile. It's really, I think it's really important to have somebody who is certified in it walking you through it and walking you through the results. I think that I would have been overwhelmed trying to interpret the results myself. So having you, Kate, help me and help me put it in perspective too, um, was really critical.
Well, it's funny you say that, Liz, because when I did it, because as a part of my certification, I actually took it twice, because once with the coach who uses this as a tool, like for the last 24 years of her career, she took it and debriefed me on it, and then I took it again when I went and got certified, and I got my results, and I was like, oh no. And I actually was going to an event with her that night, and I was like, okay, so I'm asking for a friend. What if someone doesn't like their results? What do you tell them? And she said, I tell them to add 10 points across the board. If you don't like your scores, just add 10 points, but you have to add it to everything. And so it's not about, hold on. It's not about your raw score. Is it an 88 or is it 105? It's about the overall picture. Because again, Liz, when I saw my results, I was really sad. And then Gwen, what you told me afterwards, I was like, oh, your scores are really high. And she said, on a 5-point scale, a 5, we take it literally as women typically. We say, oh, I always do this. And then we're humble and we say, well, I don't always do it, so I guess it's a 4. And what Gwen said to me afterwards was, 80% of the time, do I do this 80% of the time? So I think that's important for us to kind of think about as we go through assessments is, do I do this thing 80% of the time? Mm-hmm. And then there's still value in learning what you think you are. And there is a 360 version of the tool, which is lovely, because you can get, someone else's viewpoint on it as well. But what did you take away from it after you took it? What were your learnings or your thoughts around it?
I need to continue to work on being more flexible. Being in the moment, everything we've learned about meditation, everything we've learned about being present, I've made strides. And yeah, that was still at the lower end of my scores. So I think you're right. It doesn't matter how high your scores are, looking at them comparatively just to understand where you're lowest is the right thing to do. And so I need to continue working on going with the flow and having fun and just playing and recognizing that there are thousands of things going on and different people and, different priorities. And I don't always have to be the one large and in charge and controlling and all that stuff. So yeah, it was good. That doesn't come out of a normal assessment in quite that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was shocked to find that I am a manipulative control freak. So I don't.
That shocked you?
We've been meaning to tell you and have a little intervention, but wow, I'm glad it came up finally.
Yeah. It took us a while to devise an assessment to get you there.
I would like to question the validity of these test results. It's obviously not evidence-based.
Obviously not, yes.
I mean, that was that wasn't a full exaggeration, what I just said. But I think my main takeaway is that because I'm such a fast processor, and sort of an extemporaneous thinker. I don't make room for other people to have opinions. And that's something that I've been told before. I think sometimes we want to think that we've learned something and that it's done and it's not a problem anymore, or it's not relevant anymore. Um, and I think this kind of test shows you where you can make, where you've maybe made strides and where you can make strides and where you have opportunities, but it also, it doesn't let you run from yourself. And so I remember in coaching school, one of our teachers said she referred to the work I will continue to do until I excuse myself from the planet. And making room for other people to have processing time and to share their opinions before we move forward with a path is something that I definitely still have to um, work on.
And we were just kidding you, Liz, first of all.
Well,
And
I'm the most lovable control freak now.
absolutely. And funny and engaging and all the good stuff, all the goodness. There's always the upside to everything you've just said as well. So in a moment of high pressure, high stress, chaos, that's exactly what's needed, is somebody that can make a quick decision and move forward because they understand it and know what to do.
Yep, I am definitely your emergency guy. If you got
Mm-hmm.
an emergency, just point me in the direction.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's important to bring out as well, that these aren't weaknesses. It's just knowing when to tune it up and when to tune it down. Turn it up or turn it down or change channel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's really true. And I want to my last comment is just a compliment to you, Kate, because I think it can be, it's a little bit scary, it kind of brings out our insecurities to take assessments like any assessment, but especially one that's talking about, your soft skills. And you did a really good job of making it feel like the opposite of punitive. And Gwen, the way you just reframed the two sides of our skill coin, if you will, reminded me of that Kate, you're very adept at performing the test and the analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Agree.
What is lovely for me as a coach, and you guys have joked about all the certifications that I have, all of them.
All 65.
Which is another issue to dive into at some point.
But one of the reasons that I like a variety is because they tell us different things. Enneagram tells us, where our viewpoint, what lens are we applying? Emotional intelligence tells us, where we might want to grow in our soft skills. For me, it was empathy, and I've been watching myself like a hawk as far as my empathy goes. And my self-regard. Where's my confidence these days? I made a major career change, and what am I doing to give myself a break on embarking on this new path? And the the other ones, the Strengths Finders is fantastic when you need someone to know what they are good at and to double down on that. So there's all these variety of different things that we can help with our clients. Just apply the right one, or a suite of them, to get them the self-awareness that they need to go on and do the things that they want to do, and to break down the barriers that they're having.
Mm-hmm. So Kate, when we were going through coaching school, we all desperately wanted somebody to put on a website somewhere the pros and cons of each assessment and what works for what. And that is maybe a contribution you can make, because many coaches just won't put that out there.
That is a good point. I think that there is an opportunity to highlight the things that all of us have done. Because we have not rested on our laurels over the last 4 years. Can you believe it's almost been 4 years? So yeah, it could be a really good way of kind of summarizing just some of the ones that we've taken, and giving people, because I tell my clients, like, this one's good for this and this one's good for that. So it would be a good thing, I think, to summarize and to put out there for anyone who wants to listen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not kidding. There are thousands out there. It's super confusing. New coaches don't know where to start. Many schools won't recommend this or that. And I get it. And it's all changing and evolving, but you really do have quite the talent of just diving in and taking things and exploring things and coming out with your analytical view of what it might work for and might not. And that would be very helpful.
I will do that.
It would be really helpful for clients.
Yeah.
To know what they think they might even need coming into a coaching engagement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can see the LinkedIn article. There's 1,000 assessments out there. I've taken 899.
Yes.
When's taking them all? I just get certified in 400.
Yeah. She's 89% there. Is that a 5? Hell yes.
This is the problem with lifelong learning, is that you're just, there's so much time in the world that you can go and learn.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
Self-actualization was pretty high. my report out. Well, thank you, both of you, for being vulnerable and sharing with me your scores and allowing me to walk you through them. I'm very proud of both of you, because it's not, especially with a friend, like with someone you've contracted with, you're fine, whatever. You're supposed to know my deep, dark secrets, but it's different.
Yeah. So now you know our deep, dark secrets, and the whole world's going to know our deep, dark secrets that I'm not flexible, and Liz is a command and control freak. And, those can all be good things as well.
Yeah. And I have low self-esteem. But all of that, is something that we're working on.
Yeah. And isn't it fun? We're going to make fun of it. Damn it. One way or another.
Yep.
All right.
Speaking of working on ourselves, I have to go to yoga.
Go big. Yoga. You are working on flexibility. That's what I need to be doing.
Physical flexibility. I'm not working on being emotionally flexible.
Oh, okay. I think it all goes hand in hand.
Next year. Next year.
Okay. All right. Bye, Liz.
Bye.
So, Kate, as you talk to prospective clients or other coaches, how would you really summarize this tool? Why would they want to use it? Why would they want to buy it? What?
Yeah. So I ask them, when I'm talking to prospective clients, I always get what they're trying to work on and what they do 90% of the time in their life. Do they have kids? Are they working? Are they salespeople? Are they doctors? What is their dealio? What do they spend most of their time doing? I recommend emotional intelligence, EQI 2.0, for people who relationships matter in their life and in their work. And you might say, well, doesn't that cover a lot of people? And it does cover a lot of people. It might not cover the person. It might not be the right tool for the person who is a leader who's looking for their teams to really judge them on their leadership capability. They might want a larger outline of that, and we have an assessment for that. But if you're a salesperson and you are, relying on relationships to earn your income, or if you are a individual contributor and you're working in teams collaborating, or if you're a leader who has heard that they lack that human connection, it can be a great tool to highlight where you, and if we do the 360, others think that you could grow, and think where you could double down on the skills that you have today. So that's how I kind of summarize it, based upon who I'm working with today.
Right. And then I'll just put a punctuation point on the really pay attention to the scale and how the assessment and the assessor define the scale, and just don't automatically assume that a 5 means perfection. Even in this assessment, 5 said always or almost always. And it really gets back to, in my mind, the fact that if we looked at gender equity, males have a propensity of applying for a job if they're 50 or 60% qualified in their own mind, and women wait until they're 120% qualified. That has been a difference. And so it just makes me wonder, are women in general less inclined to claim the 5, whereas a man, regardless of their emotional intelligence, is at the ready to claim the 5, just because of the cultural distinctions of growing up and certainly then going into professional career. I always hesitated to claim the 5s because I thought that might make me come across as arrogant. I thought that, meant I was just too much, thought too much of myself, and it would disqualify me. And then the results consistently came back that I was assessing myself lower than everybody else, not just those applying for positions, but those that then they would contact to get references for me would always rate me higher than I rated myself. And then that became a conversation. Why is that? Is my self-confidence low? No, my self-confidence was low. I didn't want to come across as arrogant, and I didn't know that 5 meant that. So I think that's important. And I would love to know, as all these assessments results come back, are they segmenting by gender just to study these things, even on emotional intelligence?
They do segment by gender and age. Fun fact, as you get older, your emotional intelligence goes up, perhaps because we live life and we have lived experiences that inform our emotional intelligence. And women score higher. And so the interesting aspect of that is to think about, wow, if men have the propensity to give themselves a higher score already, the statistical difference between men and women across, like, as a whole, is insignificant, but in certain areas of the tool, because it relates your, like, what's your emotional expression, what's your emotional what's your self-regard, what's your impulse control, what's your stress capability, blah blah blah. On certain aspects of it, women have a difference that they rate higher than men, and it is statistically significant. But what occurs to me as you're saying that, Gwen, is I wonder if that's factoring in the, how men and women perform on assessments, and I don't think it is, because I don't think any of them are. But then, women might have a higher emotional intelligence skill set off the bat than men do. It's just not coming out in the data as because how we take assessments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing I would mention is I would never recommend doing an assessment for hiring purposes. People are more than the tests that they do. So I would never use this tool to assess someone for a hiring for a position. That this should only be for development. And with me and my clients, it's completely confidential. I don't mention anything about anyone outside of the partnership. They're free to share it with their subordinates and their management, but I never do. And that's my full recommendation on all of these. People are not a piece of paper. We are so much more than that.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's really important. A lot of organizations do send every group of finalists through a battery of tests, and yeah.
People are more than paper.
People are more than paper. I love it. That needs to be your tagline.
I have all the assessments, but people are more than paper.
Yes. Yes. But for self-reflection, for self-improvement, these can be very empowering.
Absolutely. I agree.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As
It was
always.
really helpful and fun, as always. And if people have questions, they can contact you directly and go to your website and schedule a consultation, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Thank you,
Have a-
Kate.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.